Welcome to the Maritime Executives podcast series, In the Know. I'm Tony Munoz, Editor-in-Chief. Our Executive Corner podcast will provide conversations with top executives concerning events and issues that are shaping our industry today. We will also bring you up to speed with the latest news and editorials covered by the Maritime Executive. It's good to meet you. Julie Gascon, right? Is that how I say your name?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Today, you are the director of the Montreal Port Authority, and give us a little bit of background on you as a maritime executive and port working in the ports.
Yes, with pleasure. So for me, I joined the Port of Montreal last year, so it's about a year in the seat right now. I come from a maritime background, over 30 years in the maritime industry. My background, I used to be at sea, seafarer, navigator, and did my captain's ticket in 2005. Yeah, so it's captain at the helm of the port. And so my arrival last year coincided with a lot of challenges, I would say. Some of those challenges, of course, includes labor conflicts. Recently at the Port of Montreal, we were victim, if I could say, for illustration purposes, of over 74 centimeters of snow, like all at once. So it was a lot of snow to deal with at the port, and it impacted our fluidity for a little bit. But it also, I arrived at a time where car theft was a really, really hot file. We had to develop a port action plan that we've just launched recently. And I would be remiss to say that what's going on south of the border, the economic uncertainty, the arrivals of tariff is creating a lot of uncertainty all around the Port of Montreal. So it's become a really complex world, but I've met those challenges, I would say, with the strength and the resiliency of the team at the Port of Montreal, people that are dedicated on working on those issues and ensuring that the Port of Montreal remains resilient and fluid, alongside, of course, our port partners, which are the terminals. We're a platform that gives access to over 1 billion consumers that are covered by Canada's free trade agreement with the various countries. We have a complex ecosystem at the Port of Montreal. We have seen a little bit of a dip, if you wish, on the container side, but our grain is growing, our bulk sector, liquid sector is also growing. So it is offsetting a little bit, if you wish, of the container dip. And of course, I'm coming at the helm of the port with a strong team to plan and execute the expansion of the Port of Montreal in Contrecoeur. This is a generational project. It's a massive project that we are undertaking, and we are well advanced. I would say we are in the last mile of the planning before we can put shovel in the ground. And this project was needed before the arrival of the new administration south of the border and the tariff, for the growth of Quebec, for the growth of Ontario, and the growth of Canada. But now I would say more than ever, this project is needed to help Canada in their diversification effort. It's a pillar of the strategy of Canada in response to the tariff, and ports are the cornerstone of the diversification efforts.
So you've been at the port for a year, and you've taken on the agenda of the viability of your port. You're on the St. Lawrence Seaway, correct?
Yeah. That's correct.
And you're the second largest port in Canada.
Yeah.
Would Vancouver be the largest?
So Vancouver is the largest port in Canada in terms of container handling. Of course, they are the largest port. We handle approximately 35 million tons of container goods and cargo at the Port of Montreal. it's about $40 billion worth of merchandise that transits, and we are involved with over 140 countries. So the Port of Vancouver does more, of course, in terms of container. It's a larger port than the Port of Montreal. Actually, the second port in volume is the Port of Sept-Îles with the Iron Bullet. And so we're very proud of them down there as well. So we have strong capacity. The St. Lawrence has strong capacity. We have both private and federal ports alongside the river and as well in the Great Lakes. So we have a lot of capacity. Expanding the port will do a few things. It will strengthen our ability to serve as a hub for international trades. That's for sure. So if you think right now in Canada, 70% or 80% of our export goes to the US, right?
Right.
Now, if you take Canadian company and they diversify slightly, 4 to 6% their market towards Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, we would be full very, very quickly. The entire mindset, if you wish, bulk of our investments have always been this north-south corridor. We had a really good partner in the US. That relationship has changed. And now we need to look towards our ocean internally, internal trade barriers. You've heard that's the second pillar, so important, but also diversifying through maritime. Now you can't send train or trucks over the ocean, so you got to do it by water, right? And so investing in our port infrastructure is not just a question of should we do it, it's a question of survival right now for Canada. We need to invest and we need to think differently. We are bordered, sir, by 3 oceans. It's about time that Canada assumes itself as a maritime nation, don't you think?
I think so. I think I've always considered Canada to be a very viable maritime international trading partner, not only with the United States, but with other countries throughout the world. You know, when you look at your port, you have the largest population of Canadians that you serve, correct?
Absolutely. So if you take the Port of Montreal, we are at the center of the 3rd largest economy in the world. A lot of people don't know this, but if you take Quebec, Ontario, and all the Great Lakes states, and you put them all together, it's the 3rd largest economy in the world. And the Port of Montreal is the gateway for 65% of the Canadian population, which is Quebec and Ontario. And the other thing that people don't know is that 75% of the manufacturing capacity of Canada is within 12 to 72 hours of the Port of Montreal. So we are one of the strongest gateway to bring goods to market, the greenest and the fastest way. When you are able to bring a ship all the way down to the Port of Montreal, I should say upriver, but all the way to Montreal, you are then reducing your overall cost of shipping because you're so close to market. So we need to be fluid. We need to be resilient. We need to be safe and secure and available. That's what maritime shipping lines are looking for. Absolutely. To be able to service those markets. But you also need to think for the future. Like the Port of Montreal will reach its capacity. We're facing a dip. Like people say, but why do you need Contrecoeur? Your volumes are down. Yeah, the volumes are down to 1.5 million TEU in 2024. And there is a possibility with consumer confidence maybe being shaken by what's happening politically around the world. There is a potential, and I'm not telling you anything new, that we will enter a recession and it will dip again. And the port is very linked to that. But as we are, putting our strategy together, as we are diversifying our market, as we are making agreements with other countries and looking elsewhere, it will go back up. And we need to be able to service that demand when that demand is going to come. I I didn't come and took the job at the Port of Montreal because it was going to be easy. I know it's tough. Doing a generational project like Contrecoeur in Canada with
Correct.
construction costs and everything is tough. So I could have gone and retired. It's not my cup of tea. The team at the Port of Montreal is building the infrastructure for generations to come. But guess what? It's now the infrastructure that we need to diversify our market and respond to the threat that has now come from our closest ally that we had for centuries. So
Yeah,
we need
it
that.
is a tough one, and I think you've been thrown a big curveball, because the relationships have been so strong, so for so very long, and suddenly here you are dealing with a very complex situation as look at your expansion and your growth, and you're serving your huge population. Um, so this is your first year at the port.
Yeah, this is my first year, but it was like coming into like a comfortable outfit. I don't know how I
Right.
can express it. I was the assistant commissioner for Canadian Coast Guard here in Montreal. I knew one of my predecessors, Sylvie Vachon, which I
Okay.
worked very closely when I was the assistant commissioner. I know the port from a regulator's perspective as I was in Transport Canada, but I also know big infrastructure project in my previous role as CEO of the Passage Authority out west and the coming in online of Trans Mountain, which of course pilots service tankers calling into Trans Mountain. So all my life I've been in this world, and coming back to the Port of Montreal at this time is such an honor and a privilege. We are in a trade war, and being at the helm of an infrastructure that is part of the solution for Canadians, it's so humbling, but at the same time, so challenging. Like we can't fail. We just can't fail.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm focusing. Yeah, it's been only 1 year, but feels like 10 or maybe 20
But
I've
you're a
been here.
seasoned mariner. You said that you
Yep.
were in the Coast Guard, so you understand ships and you understand the complexity of cargo and those sorts of things. So what are some of your priorities for growth for the port?
So it's going to be in the last questions there, Mr. Mino. So I'll have time for this one and
Okay.
another one.
Okay.
And my apologies because I was late. So in terms of the priorities for the Port of Montreal, so my predecessor did develop a strategic plan,
Hmm.
which has some really important assets. Like, for example, the environment is at the heart of everything we do. We
Sure.
do it but for me, what's important is contre-car, building the infrastructure and the resilience. What is important to me is the volume. I hate to see volume going to US ports. If we can't respond, yes, we have other ports on the east coast of Canada that can take some of the volume, but
Hmm.
Montreal is unique. We have a model, we are called a destination port. So we have fully loaded trains coming in, fully loaded trains going back. The ships comes in fully loaded. They unload completely and reload completely. This is unique in North America.
Hmm.
And so we've got a proposition that is unique, but we've lost some of our volume because of the uncertainty related to labor. Because of some of the tough years that we went through with three
Correct.
strike in 4 years, right? So the shipping lines don't like uncertainty. When the ship comes in, they want to know their ship's not going to wait. It's going to be
That's
offloaded. It's
correct.
going to be reloaded. It's going to be on its way. And so we need to recapture those volumes because when the volumes go elsewhere, let's say, for example, goes through the US to come back to Canada, it's the
Hmm.
Canadian consumers that pays more, right?
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
the closest you can bring your cargo to market in your own market is the best for the Canadian consumers. So yeah, 1 year of challenge. My big priority is Contrecoeur, bringing back the volume. That's really key. It's at the top of my mind, ensuring that we have the financial resiliency. So the Port of Montreal is a small entity. We're like 250, 270 employees, right? We're small. We have a small revenue stream. And because we are a federal institution, we are custodian on behalf of the government of the land. But for example, if I go and borrow money at the bank, I can put my land, the land in guarantee. It doesn't belong to the Port of Montreal, it belongs to the Crown. And
Right.
so the only thing I have is the liquidity that I generate through my revenue. So I need to be very, with all my team there, all the team at the Port of Montreal, very, very focused on our strategy, the land use strategy. We have 26 kilometers of port that follows the river, a lot of tenants, a lot of leases. So we need to make sure that we have the proper revenue stream. It's a business as well, the Port of Montreal. We have to be able to stand on our own 2 feet for our investment. And it's an investing in our people. So
Yes.
that's the other big priority. We, as you know, we lost on the Port of Montreal two truckers last year through accident, 2 different accident. This to me, investing in our people. They're not my employee, but they were operating on the port territory, which I manage. So safety, security, mental health, investing in our people and investing in training and ensuring that those who are visiting the Port of Montreal are safe and secure. So that to me is really important. And
So
of course, supporting law enforcement for car theft. Like this is a organized crime. We launched our plan this week. It's done in full collaboration with CBSA and with all of the various police corps surrounding the Port of Montreal, provincial, federal, and municipal. And then so we want to be part of that solution with them.
so what is the ship volume through the port? How many ships do you handle per year?
Well, we handle a lot. We handle trucks is 2,500 per day.
Per
Ships
day.
are,
Wow.
yeah, so 2,500
Wow.
truck per day. In terms of the number of ships per year, it's quite a few. Like I can get
Right.
the number to you. I
I
don't have that at
know
the top,
I
but
know that the
it's
St.
very
Lawrence Seaway is a big gateway, and I know international trade is huge through the St.
through
Lawrence
the sea.
Seaway.
Yeah,
We have done business with the St. Lawrence Seaway Authority for many years, and they've
yeah.
been a good partner to us. So yeah, I was just thinking because you have over 35 million tons of cargo
Yeah,
across
so
the dock.
in
That's
terms,
huge. That's
yeah,
massive.
so the way I look at it is in terms of services. We have 9 services, and those services as many shipper services, but I don't have the right number of vessels.
That
Sorry,
that's
I'm drawing a blank, but I can send it to you for sure.
sure.
Yeah. So
And are you going to invest in bulk terminals, or are you going to
absolutely,
invest in
we're
container
investing
terminals?
always in all. The Port of Montreal's strength in it's in its diversity. We are a bulk terminal, liquid and dry. We are a container terminal. We are a terminal that can cater to everything.
Gotcha.
So we even have containerized grain, like very high quality soybean and lentil and we have sugar with Lantic, and we've got Valero, which does the navette between Montreal and Quebec for crude. We're also working on a project for jet fuel, both for Pierre Elliott Trudeau and for Pearson. So yeah, Montreal, that's our strength. It's because we are diversified that we can shoulder the hard time that are to come.
Yes, sir. I think I know everyone's very concerned about these tariffs and the problems that they may create. Uh, what is your take on the this uncertainty?
So maybe I will close with that, Mr. Munoz, because
Yeah,
unfortunately I have a commitment that I'm late for.
sure. Listen, no
But
problem.
the tariff will impact at all level, whether it is, in terms of the tax on certain goods and product that will have a hard time now across the border, or what it will cost us to buy whatever goods that we need to buy.
Right.
And so that's going to be, it's going to have an impact. Fortunately, the Port of Montreal right now, we are really servicing the Quebec and Ontario market as well as the prairies. This is our main market. So the goods that are coming in are for those markets, but we also have a lot of input parts. Like, for example, you're building a car, you get a container of chips that come from wherever and then goes to Ontario. So if the car manufacturing slows down, some pieces that are coming from the Port of Montreal that are required in the construction of that automobile may not be required anymore. So it's everything that's going to be impacted. The best way for us to explain it to people is that for decades, the Port of Montreal's volume has followed the curve of the Quebec and Ontario GDP. So if it goes down, we go down. If it goes up, we go back up. This is the best way to see it because of the diversity of our goods. Any sector that is impacted will impact on the volumes of the Port of Montreal.
Yeah.
But I think it would be the same for any diversified port. Like if I look at other colleagues with diversified port. So thank you, Mr. Munoz.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thank you for your time. And
my apologies for the lateness.
We wish you well. We wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Our pleasure.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.